They mocked her clothes, laughed at her dreams, and made her eat outside like a servant. But when her real identity was revealed, their faces turned pale, and their empire crumbled in one night. Ayanda arrives in the city full of hope, ready to begin a new life with the man she loves, Themba. Coming from a small village, she believes love is enough. The wedding happens quickly, with no joy or welcome from Themba's family. His mother, Mama Lindiwe, stares at her with cold eyes and whispers, "She's just a farm girl with rough hands." No one smiles at her. No one hugs her. They treat her like she doesn't belong. After the wedding, Mama Lindiwe leads her to the kitchen and throws a thin blanket on the floor. "A woman without pedigree sleeps here," she says, without blinking. Ayanda looks at Themba for help, but he lowers his eyes and walks away. She says nothing. She lies down on the cold floor, the tiles hard against her back. Her heart is heavy, but she doesn't cry out loud. Only silent tears fall as the house goes dark around her. She hears laughter from the other rooms, plates clinking, music playing faintly. But in the kitchen, there is only silence and the sound of her breathing. Her hands, the same hands they mocked, hold her blanket tightly. She doesn't fight. She doesn't scream. She just closes her eyes and swallows every word, every insult. The pain is sharp, but she carries it quietly. No one sees the fire building inside her. No one knows who she truly is. In that moment, she seems small, broken, but something deep within her is still standing, still waiting, still strong. Each day begins with work. The floor must be cleaned, breakfast prepared, clothes washed and folded before anyone else in the house stirs. There are no greetings, no smiles, only commands. Every task is expected, every mistake punished with sharp words. The house is full of people, but she walks through it like a shadow, not seen, not respected, just used. In the living room, laughter fills the space when others talk, but when she enters, silence drops. Then come the whispers. The mother-in-law glares at her clothing. "Still dressing like you're chasing cows," she sneers. The sister-in-law adds, "Listen to her talk, like she's never been to school." They laugh, not caring if she hears. In fact, they want her to. That's the point. There's never a kind word, never a question like, "Are you okay?" Even her steps are judged. "Why do you walk like the floor owes you money?" they say. And still, no response, no anger, just quiet hands that keep working. She does everything a wife is meant to do, and more. But in their eyes, she's nothing. Not good enough to be part of the family, not even good enough to sit at the same table. Dinner is the worst. Plates filled with meat, rice, warm stew, all passed around, enjoyed, discussed, but not for her. She stands at the corner, eyes lowered. She's only allowed to eat after everyone else is done. If she's even a minute late, her food is thrown in the bin. "You don't deserve it," they say. "You're lucky to be here at all." Even when her feet hurt or her hands are swollen from scrubbing, she says nothing. No one asks her to rest. No one offers help. Pain becomes part of her routine. Humiliation becomes normal. But deep inside, something stays still and strong. She never begs. She never cries where they can see. She keeps everything buried deep, like a secret seed growing underground. They think she is weak. They think she will break, but she is only waiting for the right moment to rise. One afternoon, while sweeping the small front yard, a woman from next door walks by and stops. Her name is Noma, a quiet neighbor who usually just waves in passing. But this time she steps closer, squinting her eyes like she's trying to remember something. She looks at the girl holding the broom, not with pity, but curiosity. "Aren't you?" she begins, tilting her head. But before she can finish her sentence, a sharp voice cuts through the air. Queasy rushes out, grabs the broom from her hands and snaps, "Go inside, now." Ayanda lowers her head and obeys without a word. Noma watches silently as the door closes. That night, the house is quiet. Everyone else is asleep. The lights are off. But in the corner of the small kitchen where she now sleeps, a soft rustling breaks the silence. She reaches under her blanket and pulls out a small wooden box, worn from age, but carefully hidden. Her fingers tremble slightly as she unlocks it with a tiny silver key she wears around her neck. Inside, wrapped in an old cloth, is a photograph. The photo shows a tall man in a clean black suit, standing beside a shiny car. He looks serious, powerful, proud. On his jacket, just above his heart, is a gold pin that catches the light. She stares at the pin, her eyes slowly filling with tears. She touches the photo gently, running her finger over the man's face. Her father. Not just any man, but someone important, someone rich, someone known. She holds the photo to her chest, breathing deeply. For a moment, her face softens. A tiny smile fights to rise, but disappears just as quickly. There is no explanation, no words spoken, just the picture, the pin, and the heavy silence that follows. She places the photo back, locks the box, and slides it under her blanket again. The next morning she moves as usual, quiet, obedient, unnoticed. But something feels different. The neighbor's voice still echoes in her mind. "Aren't you—" The sentence was never finished, but it left a mark. Someone remembers her. Someone knows something. In that single moment at night while everyone slept, a piece of her truth came alive again. The world still sees her as a poor village girl, a servant, a nobody. But that box, that photo, that golden pin, they all tell a different story. A story that's still hidden. A truth she keeps locked, just like the box. But one day, it may not stay locked anymore. Now, behind her silence, there are questions. Who is she really? Why does she hide that photo? And why did Kwesi panic when Noma tried to speak to her? The answers are not yet clear, but one thing is certain. Ayanda is not just who they think she is. Something bigger lies in her past. Something powerful, and it's only a matter of time before that secret is no longer a secret. Laughter and voices rise from the lounge as Mama Lindiwe, Kwesi, and a few men sit around the table, wine glasses half full, papers spread out. Ayanda walks past quietly with a tray, but she slows down when she hears her name mentioned. Not kindly, just as part of a joke. She stops just outside the door, hidden by the wall, listening. Inside, Mama Lindiwe leans forward, a sly smile on her face. "We will get that tender. We just need to make ourselves look important enough." She taps the papers on the table. "We've already changed the numbers. Now we just need the fake certificates and the business profile with those fake awards." One of the men chuckled. "But that foundation, aren't they strict?" Mama Lindiwe waves her hand. "Please, the chairman doesn't even know half of what goes on. He's rich and old. Ikon Mbeki only signs what's handed to him." At that name, the tray in Ayanda's hands shakes. She steps back slowly, heart pounding. Her eyes go wide, and she struggles to catch her breath. She places the tray on a small table and rushes outside, unnoticed by the group still laughing and planning. In the yard, she leans against the wall, holding back tears. Her hands grip the edge of her skirt tightly. That name, Ikon Mbeki, it's not just a name to her. It's part of her story, part of the locked box she hides. The same name that sits under her pillow at night. The man in the photograph. Her breathing becomes shaky, but she forces herself to stay calm. She looks up at the sky, eyes filled with quiet pain. They are planning to lie to him, cheat him, and they don't even know who she is. They think she's just a poor girl from the village, a nobody, but she knows the truth. And now, the pieces are starting to connect. Inside the house, they go on laughing. But outside, something has shifted. Ayanda is no longer just surviving. Something bigger is waking up inside her. The name they spoke with such carelessness is the name she carries in secret. The name that might just change everything. The big day comes with noise, dresses, and rushing. Everyone in the house is excited. Mama Lindiwe is shouting orders. Kwesi is fixing her makeup, and Themba is wearing a shiny new suit. They are all getting ready for a high-class event hosted by the rich foundation they hope to impress. But Ayanda is not treated like a guest. She is told to carry the bags, hold the coats, and make sure everything is perfect. No one gives her a dress or a smile. Instead, Mama Lindiwe looks her up and down and says, "You'll go as the help. Stand straight, don't speak." At the fancy hotel, lights shine, cameras flash, and music plays softly in the background. Rich people in elegant clothes talk and laugh, while waiters move around with trays. Ayanda walks behind her in-laws, holding Kwesi's purse. Everyone stares. Some whisper, some laugh. Mama Lindiwe smiles proudly, pretending not to notice Ayanda until someone asks, "Who is she?" Without missing a beat, Mama Lindiwe answers, "Oh, her? Just the maid we brought to help." Ayanda's cheeks burn with shame, but she says nothing. She is made to stand near the entrance, far from the decorated tables and flashing cameras. People walk past her, some avoiding eye contact, some giggling at her old dress and plain shoes. She stands still, looking down, pretending not to hear. Then, the music stops, and a voice speaks over the microphone. All eyes turn to the stage as the chairman of the foundation steps forward. It's Mr. Enkay, dressed in a fine black suit, the same gold pin shining on his chest, the one from Ayanda's secret photo. He begins his speech, welcoming everyone. His voice is deep and calm, but then his eyes find her. His words stop mid-sentence. He stares at her, frozen for a moment, like he's seen a ghost. The room goes quiet. People glance around, wondering what's wrong. Mama Lindiwe follows his gaze, then quickly steps in front of Ayanda to block his view. Mr. Mbeki blinks, clears his throat, and continues his speech like nothing happened. But his face has changed. He looks shaken. Ayanda notices everything. Her heart beats fast. Their eyes met for just a second, but something passed between them. She felt it, and so did he. The speech ends, and the room claps politely. But the moment has already left a mark. Something has shifted. The man they are trying to fool may not be a stranger after all. And Ayanda, standing in the shadows, is no longer invisible. She doesn't say a word, but inside, something stirs. Hope, fear, and a deep, rising truth. The night is cold and quiet. Everyone in the house is asleep, but Ayanda is still awake, sitting alone on the small mattress in the corner of the kitchen. Her hands are resting on her lap, shaking just a little. Her eyes are tired, but something inside her is alive, burning quietly after what happened earlier at the event. The way Mr. Enkay looked at her, like he had seen someone important, someone he once knew. That look stayed with her, deep in her chest. She reaches under her pillow and takes out an old envelope, worn at the edges, like it's been opened and closed 100 times. Inside is a letter, carefully folded, written in her own neat handwriting. The paper is soft and weak, and there's a name written on the front, Enkay, Father. She looks at the name for a long time, her eyes wet with tears. This letter has been hidden for years. She wrote it when she was just a teenager, right after her mother passed away. Her mother told her the truth before she died, who her real father was, where to find him. She had written the letter with hope, but never had the courage to send it. Every time she thought about it, her heart filled with fear. What if he didn't believe her? What if he rejected her? But tonight feels different. Something inside her whispers, "It's time." With slow hands, she folds the letter again and places it back in the envelope. She stands up, slips on her shoes, and walks out into the night. The streets are quiet. She walks until she finds the old postbox on the corner, painted red, standing under a flickering streetlight. Her fingers hover above the slot for a second. Then, she pushes the letter in. It drops with a soft sound, gone forever. She stands there, frozen, as if she just gave away a piece of her heart. Her eyes are full of tears, but her face is calm. She whispers softly to herself, now it's in God's hands. She doesn't expect anything. She tells herself not to hope, but inside, something begins to lift. A secret has been shared. A door has been opened. She walks back home, slow and quiet, and slips into her thin blanket. The kitchen is dark, but something has changed. She's no longer just a poor girl hiding a letter. She's a daughter reaching out to her father, the most powerful man in the country. And for the first time in a long time, Ayanda feels like maybe, just maybe, she is no longer alone. It begins with the sound of engines. Loud, powerful, the kind that makes people stop what they're doing. Outside the family house, 3 black SUVs roll up, big and shiny, causing a stir in the neighborhood. Curtains pull back, neighbors peek outside, children stop playing. Mama Lindiwe, Kwesi, and Themba rush to the window, confused and scared. No one knows what's going on. The doors of the SUVs open slowly. Bodyguards step out first. Then, a tall, serious man steps out wearing a dark suit. It's Enkay, rich, respected, feared. The very same man they tried to impress with lies. The man who held the key to their big, tender dreams. But he's not smiling. He's not here for business. He walks straight to the door, bangs once. Themba opens it, face pale. Enkay doesn't wait for greetings. "Where is she?" he asks, his voice deep and firm. No one answers. "Where is my daughter?" he repeats, louder now. Silence fills the room. Ayanda steps forward slowly from the kitchen, her eyes unsure, her hands shaking. The The moment their eyes meet, everything becomes still. Without a word, Ikon walks to her and wraps his arms around her. "My only blood," he says loud enough for all to hear. "My true heir." Gasps echo through the room. Cameras flash suddenly. Reporters were already outside. News vans parked along the street. Microphones appear. They caught it all. Ikon turns to the family. His face turns hard. "You treated my daughter like a servant," he says. "You mocked her, made her sleep on the floor, used her as if she was nothing. And all this while you were trying to lie your way into my foundation." Mama Lindaway tries to speak, but no words come out. Kwesi hides behind a wall. Themba steps forward. "I didn't know, Ikon lifts one hand to stop him. His voice is calm but deadly. "Divorce her now, or face me in court." The room goes completely quiet. Themba is frozen, mouth open, unable to move or speak. Ekon doesn't wait for a reply. He holds Ayanda's hand and walks out with her. Cameras follow them. Reporters shout questions. But all people can talk about is how the poor girl they once laughed at is the real daughter of power. The tide has turned. The next morning, the news spreads like fire. Every TV, every radio, every phone screen in the country shows one headline: Ikon and Becky's long-lost daughter found, family exposed for fraud and abuse. Videos of Ikon hugging Ayanda, calling her his daughter, play again and again. Reporters speak with shock and excitement. People can't stop talking about it. Social media explodes. Comments, reposts, and messages flood in. In that same storm, Ikon stands before a row of microphones, calm and clear. He announces that the family Ayanda married into is banned from applying for or receiving any tenders or support from his foundation ever again. "They abused my daughter. They tried to cheat my organization. There will be no second chances," he says. The message is sharp and final. By the afternoon, government offices begin cancelling deals. Phone calls stop. Emails are ignored. Every partnership with Mama Lindiwe's company ends within hours. Big clients disappear. Payments freeze. Employees don't come back. In just one day, her business, once proud and loud, falls like a house of cards. Mama Lindiwe walks into her office and finds it empty. Her assistant is gone. Her phone won't stop ringing, but she can't bear to answer. When she finally does, it's her banker. "There's a problem with your account," he says. She feels her heart sink. She rushes to her rich friends for help, but doors are slammed in her face. Some block her number. Some post online saying they never truly supported her. Kwesi faces her own nightmare. Her fiancé's family calls off the wedding. "We cannot be tied to this shame," they say. Her photos are taken down. Her name is whispered with disgust. People who once praised her beauty now share memes mocking her pride. Her dream of marrying into wealth vanishes just like that. Themba stays silent, hiding from the world. His friends laugh behind his back. Some say he had gold in his house and treated it like mud. Shame covers him like a heavy blanket. He tries to call Ayanda, but she doesn't answer. She doesn't need to. The very people who made Ayanda feel small now feel the weight of their own actions. Everything they used to mock her has come back on them. Their name is ruined. Their pride is broken. And the whole country watches as the mighty fall, just like they once made Ayanda fall. But the difference is, she rose, and they are left behind. Cameras flash everywhere. Reporters gather in large numbers, waiting for someone important. The room is filled with energy, curiosity, and excitement. Ekon Mbeki walks onto the stage, calm and proud. He stands behind the microphone and looks over the crowd. Then, with a smile, he says, "Today, I introduce the new director of my foundation, my daughter." Gasps fill the room. Then footsteps echo. All eyes turn. Ayanda walks in slowly, dressed in a sharp, elegant outfit. Her hair is neatly tied back, her face glowing with quiet power. She looks nothing like the girl who once slept on the kitchen floor. Her shoulders are straight, her eyes focused, her silence louder than any words. She stands next to her father without saying anything. Just her presence makes people lean in. She doesn't try to look strong. She is strong. The same girl who was laughed at, insulted, and pushed aside now stands at the top, in front of the nation. She doesn't need revenge. Her success is the answer. Reporters begin asking questions loudly. One raises a hand and says, "Ayanda, how do you feel about what your husband's family did to you?" The room goes quiet, waiting for her response. She holds the microphone gently, looks around the room. then smiles softly. She says just one sentence. Sometimes God lets them bury you alive, so you rise stronger than they ever imagined. The room erupts. People clap, cheer, some even cry. The sentence cuts deep. It says everything about pain, about strength, about rising. That one line travels across the country, shared on every social media platform. It becomes a quote that inspires millions. Ayanda doesn't speak more. She doesn't have to. She already said it all. Her silence is power. Her story is now history. Time has passed. Life has changed. By the roadside, under the hot sun, Mama Lindiwe now sits on a wooden crate, selling vegetables. Her fancy clothes and proud voice are gone. Her face looks tired, her hands rough. People pass by, but no one stops to greet her. The woman who once looked down on others now has nothing but a small stool and a quiet life. A black car pulls up nearby. Doors open. Ayanda steps out. She walks slowly toward the old woman who once made her sleep on the cold floor. Mama Lindiwe looks up and her eyes fill with tears. She stands, shaky, surprised. "Please," she whispers. "I'm sorry, I didn't know. Forgive me." Ayanda says nothing at first. She looks at the small table of vegetables. She remembers the pain, the insults, the tears she cried alone. Then she reaches into her bag and pulls out a clear bottle of water. She places it gently on the table and says in a soft voice, "This is what I wished for every day in your home. A little kindness." She doesn't shout. She doesn't insult. She doesn't take revenge. She turns around and walks back to her car, leaving Mama Lindiwe frozen, holding the bottle in both hands. Tears roll down the old woman's cheeks, not from pain, but from deep regret. Ayanda drives away, not in anger, but in peace. She gave kindness where there was none. She chose grace over revenge. And in that moment, she became more than powerful. She became unforgettable. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful content. Drop a comment below. What was your favorite moment? And don't miss the next chapter. Click one of the end screen videos to keep watching. Thanks for being here.